approaching 40 years old, excited that the Bitcoin had caught me at the last stage of my 30s here. So I can say fully that, I'm fully engaged in Bitcoin starting at 40 years old. I guess what hits home for me most is the gold standard, right? That felt like the clearest part to say, hey, like we've got a currency that's backed by something that everyone believes has value. But as soon as, you move into the more recent years, now you start getting into this just creating money, like essentially out of thin air. All you know is the dollar. You get over to Europe and they've got these euros and it just, you're holding it in your hand and it just feels fake. It feels weird. And it's like, why does it feel weird, right? I've never been really a big saver. I've always been a spender. I like to, then you get married and when I started having a family, my financial advisor, was early on in the cryptocurrencies, the Bitcoin, and just started explaining to me the blockchain technology. I remember having the feeling of like, oh, I missed the boat type of deal, right? And honestly, I got to give credit to you guys again, because I think you explained it in the way of like the Excel spreadsheet. It's really just like this record of all these different transactions within, like a month of listening to some of your recordings and your episodes. I was like, I need to, jump into this right away and start investing.
Welcome to Sat Chats, the Bitcoin podcast where we chat about sats. Sats are the smallest part of a Bitcoin, the same way pennies are the smallest part of a dollar. With Sat Chats, we are building the world's biggest Bitcoin welcome center to serve as your gateway to generational wealth. So if you are brand new to Bitcoin, we want to chat about sats with you. Head to satchats.com. to grab your slot in the studio today. I'm your host, Stuart, Bitcoin Dad.
And I'm Anna Bevan, number 40, Chief of Stuff.
And in the studio today, we have got ourselves another Bitcoin Dad, number 121, Sam. Sam, why don't you introduce yourself to our Satillionaires, and then we'll jump right into it.
Yeah, thank you guys. Excited to be here. So, Sam, I am, like you mentioned, a Bitcoin Dad. Reside in Chicago through Detroit, so Midwestern, born and raised, and excited to share the story today. Approaching 40 years old, so 39 for about 13 more days here. So excited that the Bitcoin had caught me at the last stage of my 30s here before. So I can say fully that, I'm fully engaged in Bitcoin starting at 40 years old. So it's a good pivotal point.
So Sam, for all of you out there listening, has got a Bitcoin story for us. And he started stacking sats this year. His biggest lesson learned for all of you pre-coiners in the audience is that you've got to wrap your head around the history of money and what money is and how it works so that you can have a framework to even understand what you're looking at when you look at Bitcoin. So, Sam, why don't you share that lesson with our Satillionaires and kind of help us understand what has stood out to you in terms of your study of the history of money?
To feel good about even, the way you look at the Bitcoin, right, as a store of value or as like that peer-to-peer exchange. I think either way, right, you have to feel comfortable with an understanding of money and currencies and how that's worked. And right, again, not the expert, but Saifedean with the Bitcoin standard and how he just articulates that so well, the barter systems and the society that used those stones. I guess what hits home for me most is the gold standard, right? That felt like, I think the clearest part of the book to say, hey, like we've got, we've got a currency that's backed by something that everyone, believes has value, right? Which is gold. So whatever amount of gold reserves are in it, that's the amount of currency floating out in the world. And I think you can just, for me, it was like easy, to wrap your head around that. But as soon as you move into the more recent years, right? In the last 100 or less than 100 even, right? Roughly, I guess a little bit more. I think it was like 1914 or something, if I'm remembering correctly, where they move away from that. I think it was World War One, and that now you start getting into this just creating money like essentially out of thin air, just because we all agree to say that we can print more money or um, you know uh, do what we will with it, and that's where it's it starts to lose me.
Well, first of all, if you like what you're hearing so far and the fact that learning about money is the right place to start, smash the subscribe button for me right here on YouTube, because you will get more content just like this every weekday at 11 a.m. Plus, when we reach 10,000 subscribers, which we're trying to achieve by Christmas, we want to put 10,000 underneath our Yuletide tree. We will thank you for helping us get there by choosing one of you at random and dropping 2 million sats on your head. So, Sam, I'll share a little bit about what it was like for me to read the Bitcoin Standard, specifically the gold standard part, because it sounds like that stood out to you quite a bit, right?
Exactly.
And when I was reading through the book, I read about the yapstones, the glass beads of Africa, the seashells of North America. And when I got to that gold standard where Saifedean is talking about how effectively the whole world was on a gold standard in the 19th century, America had gold, England and France, Spain, Europe, they had gold. China and India were kind of more favorable to silver, and that's part of the reason why they fell behind the nations that had adopted gold. But basically, I just got this sense that when the entire world could agree on a single form of money that was worth what it was worth, no matter where you were, everybody flourished. Things were good. People invented stuff, people built stuff, people created artwork. A gold coin in England was a gold coin in America, and there was not like, oh well, 2 pounds in the United Kingdom is $6 in America. It's like
Right.
that whole system was simplified through the gold standard. Did you get that impression as well when you were reading it?
Yeah, exactly that. I mean, you articulated that well, Stuart. So better than I could. But it's exactly that. When everyone agrees that again on a system that works, right? And it's like, right? Don't don't change it if it's not broke, right? Essentially, and that's kind of what happened, right? And then they moved away from it, right? So that's um, can't rewrite history, but
One thing I think is interesting is I think probably since 56 Marissa, the history of money has started to show up in, I'm going to say, almost all of our podcasts and all of our guests. It is something that I know I feel was a gap. I don't think I ever learned the history of money in school. And so much of how we think about money is really just reinforced by what we learn. And so not having the opportunity and not learning like that it wasn't always gold or the dollar was a huge detriment. And I think it's so many of our guests are having the realization of like, oh, but our money is kind of a problem. There's something else, and this something else is Bitcoin.
I grew up with the US dollar being money, and that was it.
Yeah.
So the US dollar was money. I had the vague sense that gold was money in the Middle Ages for like Europe, and all of my fantasy stories that I liked about knights and lords and ladies and wizards and warriors, they used gold in that kind of old age where you would like ride a horse
the old age
across the plains or through the forest.
Moats.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So there was never a moment where I was able to see that the US dollar was not the beginning and end of money on earth for humanity. And I can remember how strange it was for me to study abroad in Europe when I was a junior at university. I went to Spain and started using the euro.
Yeah.
And the US dollars are all the same size, no matter how much it's worth. But the euros were all different shapes and sizes, all different colors. And when I went to the United Kingdom and I had the pound, some of their notes are like, it's like a freaking sheet of, like,
it doesn't fold the same way in your pocket.
Some of the notes you're like folding it up like this and trying to, well, let me put this in my pocket. This thing is gigantic.
You need a different wallet. Yeah, it's a completely different wallet. Whole different system.
That was like the first time that I felt like I was handing somebody something that was worthless and they were giving me stuff in return for it.
Yeah.
It was monopoly money for sure.
Yes.
But
Yes.
that's what it felt like. I did the same. Yeah.
Tell me about that when you encountered another currency for the first time.
Yeah, I mean it's similar to the way you described it, right? It's like the first it was 22, and again, all you know is the dollar. You get over to Europe and they've got these euros, and it just you're holding it in your hand and it just feels fake, right? I mean, because you've been staring at the US dollar for 20 plus years, and that's like really all that anyone's ever talked about. I guess if you have like parents that went on vacations, came back, right, with like when all the European countries had their own currencies, like the lira, and that's the only one I remember outside of the euro. You had like you have some experience there, but again, yeah, you get over and it feels weird, and it's like, why does it feel weird, right? I don't know, but and then they got too many coins. I mean, you got to carry all those coins too. It's just that weighs you down. That weighs you down.
Let me share on the coinage, because the paper money in Europe and in the United Kingdom did feel strange to me initially. But the coinage in Europe, man, the €1 coin, the €2 coin, for whatever reason, the coinage felt incredible. And like when I would go get a coffee in the morning and it was, €2, I would take that larger €2 coin and set it down on the table on its edge and then kind of like click it the rest of the way down. I was like, boy, howdy, this feels good. This feels natural to me, probably because it was almost replicating that gold coin sensation that all my knights and lords and ladies had in the Middle Ages, when they would kind of, you would take the coin and it makes a noise, if you walked up to the bar and you just clink, like a sheet of paper, it has nothing satisfying about it whatsoever. And we had number 118 Adiran on the show from Canada, who let me know that you can wash Canadian money in the laundry.
What?
It's almost like plasticized, and it can go through the wash, and I'm like, that sounds even more fake than these other government slips of papers. But the thing here, Sam, is when I came back to the United States, the United States money, now that felt weird to me. I was like, ooh, this thing is so green. It's ugly. It's not a very pretty form of money. It's all the same size. I can't tell at a glance which denomination I'm working with, because they're all the same size. So it was kind of a shock to come back into the US dollar system as well. So I feel like that dislocation, first with the euro and then again with the dollar, that was my opportunity as a college kid to take a step back and say, what is money?
Did you do that though?
I did. And I went, whatever. And I just kept living my life. And huge mistake. It took me like another 18, 19, 20 some odd years to find Bitcoin, right? Like that was my opportunity.
Well, and when you're a kid, like just to your point earlier, right, about not learning about the money in school. And it's like, being a finance major at the university, like coming out of that, like after, post college, it was a rough time, right? 2008, 2009, like after the class, it was like rough trying to find work. Fortunately, like, I was like, am I going to go work at a bank and be a personal banker? No, no offense to anyone. It's a good job, but it was like, wasn't for me. I grew up in like family run businesses. So kind of went to do something else, but also started learning about the fractional, money system and the way that money is created and the fractional reserves that banks hold. And it was just like kind of blew my mind to say, like, why did I not learn about this in college, right? As a finance major, right? So if there's any major that you should have a full understanding of money, it would be that. And not we're not going to go down the rabbit hole of what being taught in schools today, but it's just, it's a fair point, and it's like why, obviously things like podcasts and folks, such as yourselves with like Bitcoin, or, obviously there's so much content out, and, you can just educate yourself along the way. A lot of these, have now just continuing to hold a lot more weight and grow, because folks, it's again, we didn't have that like base knowledge essentially, right? So kind of to go back to the Bitcoin standard and getting that base knowledge of money, so you feel comfortable about where you're putting your money, right? Because I mean, we all, it's you want to feel the comfort, especially, whether you're single or you have a family. Like, it's certainly, as the Bitcoin dad, right, I'm thinking about the future of my family, certainly myself, and also, man, I don't want to work forever, right? Working in startup environments, it's like, 1 year's like 2 or 3. So I want to get to that also retirement age a little bit earlier. And to me, if, having that understanding of money, and then, looking at Bitcoin as a way to do that. And I think it was Jeremy who put it, like the freedom aspect of it too. But I mean, I think it's like all encompassing, like the freedom aspect, but also like, it's not get rich quick, but it also is like, and you'll see a fair return on your dollars in the long run, because again, the belief is there that to me, it's just inevitable. Like, I'm not going to try to time it. But it's just the way that things are moving, right? We're just a more technology, like, driven society, so we couldn't, how long ago we couldn't even have this conversation, the 20, I don't know.
We didn't have Bitcoin when I graduated with the master's degree into the Great Recession. And everything I had ever been told by my dad was not true. Because my dad said, look, man, your job is to get good grades in school, and then you'll be able to have the career. Yeah. It'll all work out for you. And what he was saying was true at the time. But I graduated with a master's degree into the Great Recession. We're no jobs. We're no jobs. Nothing. And it was like, well, this sucks. And I didn't have any of that knowledge either, Sam. And I'm not a conspiracy rabbit hole guy myself. But if I were to put on my tinfoil hat, it would be to point out, it would be, if I were to, and I'm not going to, but if I did, I would posit that the reason why we are not being taught the way things actually are with our financial system is because we'd be like, dude, that's messed up. Let's change it. And then the people who are benefiting from the financial system would no longer benefit from it, and they don't want that. But I'm not a tinfoil hat guy, so I won't go there. Okay, that's just what I would say if I were going to go that route.
Thank you for not going there.
It's a different show.
That's a spin-off channel. Sat Chat's Tinfoil Hat. Whoa! Oh. Now that rhymes. That's good. I like that.
Okay, let's hold that.
Sat Chat's Tinfoil Hats. Let's go.
Put a pin in it.
That channel will blow up to 1 million subscribers overnight, while our main channel still hangs out with 2,000 people. Okay.
Hey man, you guys got to give yourself credit, right? I think it was like I was right around 343 subscriber on YouTube.
Wow.
So that was
way to be with us on the journey.
Yeah. So, you guys you're multiplying. So yes. It takes time. Good things take time, right?
As my brother, number 2 Jorma says, Sam is he's one of our day ones. One of our day ones. Yeah. Early supporters. So So, after your experience with other currencies abroad, your education in finance at university, your experience with the Great Recession, and your decision to learn more about the history of money through the Bitcoin standard, were there any aspects of Bitcoin that you struggled to understand or accept?
I definitely like early on, it was, like the blockchain technology. And I think it, like when I had first heard about Bitcoin, so, um, which was, I guess fairly early on, um, just through, well, I guess when was it like 2015 is 2014, 2015 is kind of when um, and it had that big spike and went up to like 10,000, 15,000, and you had the celebrities that were like invested in it and made, all the PR around it. And it's just like I remember having the feeling of like, oh, I missed the boat type of deal, right? And again, it was just not taking the time to maybe fully understand it. I don't think there was a lot of content out at the time to do it, but like you like secondhandedly knew someone that had some Bitcoin and made some money, and I was like, oh, okay, like we missed the boat. Um, but then kind of like fast forwarding a few years, starting the family, right? Like starting to get a, I had never been really a big saver. I've always been a spender. I like to, just do it, take vacation. I'm fortunate enough to like travel, in a fair amount of international travel after I got the travel bug doing the study abroad in Italy in my college years. And, since then, it was always like, let's just do it now. Why wait? So through that, you make sacrifices, and my sacrifices was savings. But then you get married, and you want to start having a family. You focus more into that, right? And that's when got a financial advisor who was a friend from college, right? Who was just, I was like, I definitely trust this guy with my money because he was like the ultimate nerd, right? In, geek in finance. So even though I have this slight distrust with the system in and of itself, I do trust folks that, you can be resourceful and have that savings plan and invest for your future and all of that. And that's when, it started being, explained to me. So a little background there, but kind of getting to the point here, where, he, my financial advisor, he's like, was early on in the cryptocurrencies, the Bitcoin, and just started explaining to me the blockchain technology. And, occasionally I was like, well, I'm a finance major. I'm good with numbers. So like, I'm supposed to understand this, but like, it kind of just went over my head. And honestly, I got to give credit to you guys again, because I think you explained it in the way of like the Excel spreadsheet, in the multiple, the workbook, and then you have the multiple sheets within the workbook, and like the grid, like that, as like, it's really just like this, a record of all these different transactions that are taking place and like logged in through the system. So like, I guess visually, that helped me kind of like framework it. But initially I was just like, I really don't know what blockchain technology, but like Bitcoin, it sounds interesting. Like, let's put, it was almost like an insurance policy where you're like, kind of hedging a little bit. Like if you look at your total portfolio and investments. So that's kind of how I started, right? And it was like small enough where if you lose it, it's not going to be that big of a deal. I don't fully necessarily understand it, but I do trust someone that does understand it, or at least, appears to understand it, right? Um, and then to fast forward a little bit further, right, into this year, coming again with having followed Chris, and boom, he was promoting the sat chats again. You guys just started at the beginning of this year, and jumped right in, and then from there it was real quick, right? It was within like a month of listening to some some of your recordings and your episodes and your breakdown of what Bitcoin is, and just simplifying it really in a great way. At least for me, that made it understandable that I was like, I need to, jump into this right away and start investing.
I'm struggling to remain still and calm, because what I want to do is punch a hole through the wall. I want a Kool-Aid man. This is a second story studio. I want a Kool-Aid man through the side of this house and drop the 20 feet to the ground and like punch it with like an Iron Man style finish, because it is amazing to hear.
It is. And I don't know if it's just like, there is a lot happening at the same time too. There's a lot happening this year with Bitcoin. It's just like more, and like, there's some like industry publications, right? I'm in CPG, and there's, I think it's, what is it? I can't remember one of the companies, Midday Squares, and because they source cacao, and like, commodity, like fluctuating prices, cacao, which, in the past like year, 2 years has like gone 3-4x from what it was previously. And they started, actually putting, having like Bitcoin reserves to kind of mitigate that high fluctuation of the cacao prices for commodities. So kind of made like some buzz, in like the trade publications there. And then obviously also, being a Sad Chest listener, you guys having folks on, certainly in the more recent, like I mentioned early on, we'll get to that, but the folk, I think his name was Adam too. That's the Bitcoin Well founder.
Number 103.
103 Adam, yeah. Great episode as well. But having him on, and again using Bitcoin Well as the whatever the transaction platform, right? The exchange. And so it just seems now where it's like it's picking up. It feels like, I mean, sometimes too, when you focus on things, it also feels like it gets amplified a little bit. But I think there's some of that, but also there's just a lot happening too, right? And you've had some folks on with the regulations and the states having the Bitcoin reserves, right? Texas, among a couple others, and even the U.S. government like saying that they won't sell their Bitcoin reserves. So now it's just like it feels like almost daily there's more, edification. I don't know if that's the right word for just Bitcoin, like growing and growing as like a very real, like this isn't going away type of deal, versus like previously, I think if you were talking about it even, just even a few years ago, right? Like it would be a little bit more challenging to get folks like over the fence.
Totally. I mean, this year, Bitcoin is happening this year, 2025. We've got new all-time highs. We have interest at every level, from individuals to families to companies to full-on financial institutions to like pension funds and retirement funds and up to and including states and just full-on freaking nations that are adopting it or mining it. And for me, in January 2024, when I saw the Bitcoin ETF headlines, I said to myself, well, I tell you what, if a multi-trillion-dollar money manager like BlackRock or Fidelity is going to put significant funds into this, and the United States tries to pull a fast one, no. BlackRock will come over and pat America on its head and say, now listen, little buddy, I need you to reverse what you just did, okay? If it were just the individual citizens who were getting screwed over, then there would be no recourse. But as soon as one of these mega corps gets involved, it's like, oh, it's over. It's over. Because we really, again, no Sat Chats tinfoil hats yet. But when these big old companies are getting involved, ain't no way the gouvernement can do anything to endanger their profitability and stability, etc. Right? Like the flow of power simply comes from these gigantic global corporations these days, and they'd be like, "Listen, no, little buddy. Now listen here, Junior. Fun law, proud of you. Go ahead and pull it back, though. Thanks." You know what I mean?
100%,
Also,
100%, man. It's too big to fail, right?
Yeah.
for sure. And I think it also speaks to the normalcy that Bitcoin is starting to get. How it's, I'm not going to go as far as say mass adoption, but when you've got full boards with shareholders talking about moving and like starting to operate on a Bitcoin standard, or even like talk about it where they're not in a basement with a tinfoil hat playing video games, I think that marks a huge shift, I think, for 2025, and why 2025 and latter parts of 2024 are different. And it does feel different because it is in the news a lot. We are seeing our federal government make serious action, or take serious action, and it makes it hard to ignore. And I do feel like some of it is, I bought a Kia, so I see a Kia everywhere on the road. Before I bought one, I was like, "What's a Kia?" But now it's everywhere, and I feel
Everyone
like
drives the Kia.
exactly. I was like, "Man, how many people drive Kias?" But I feel like that is some of that is happening with Bitcoin, just because we're starting to like hear it more and notice it. But it is also having a moment.
Yeah. Well, and it is interesting too to hear how you spent time kind of taking your vacations now, but as you became a dad, your time preference must necessarily shift into longer term. And it's interesting too. I just sometimes I wonder if our millennial generation basically exited university into the Great Recession and realized that we were going to be working our entire lives until we were dead. So we might as well take vacations now because there is no big break at the end of this thing.
Well, YOLO.
You know?
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
exactly. Yes. You have to do, I feel like it's a fine balance, right? Where it's like, I mean, kudos to the people that, you read these stories where they're like, they retired, or they pay off their student loan debts or something because like they literally didn't do anything for like, I don't know, multiple, like 3, 4 years. And it's just like, no, thank you. It's like, you're only, as young as you are today, right? So not that you can't do things with your older, but it's the balance, right? You have to have like, I think you have to be, at least since again partnered with like my financial advisor and actually devised like the savings plan. It's like you have your budget, right? So it's like you need to save for the future and like again the retirement. You have kids, all that stuff, but then you also need to have a little a bank for saving a bucket for today, right? It's like going on vacation because it's like I just took the family to Italy in July, and it was just like even with a 5-year-old and a 3-year-old, it was a little risky. I was very nervous about it, but the plane ride went okay, and it's just like they don't stop talking about Italy. I mean, obviously they ate gelato every day, but it's like you make those memories and you have them for a lifetime. So it's like you got to do something now, but you also have to save for the future. And you ball on a budget, right? Balling on a budget. So
balling on a budget. Give me a quick rundown of your experience setting up an account on Bitcoin Well to start taking Bitcoin into self-custody, and your experience setting up that Sparrow wallet you mentioned. So for all of our Satillionaires who are listening to your story and saying, okay, history of money makes sense. Bitcoin is the best kind. I want to get some now, but where do I start? It could be too hard. I'm going to, go to Robinhood and, get some Bitcoin. What was your experience with Bitcoin Well and Sparrow Wallet?
Yeah, so let me start with Sparrow because you need the wallet before you make that go to the exchange. So again, thanks for the recommendation, Stuart and Sat Chats on the Sparrow. So I also got it. So I think I was listening to the Sat Chat episodes of kind of like how to get started, right, which were very helpful. And then I also tossed it over to my financial advisor because he has been in the crypto. And then he referred, which I can't remember the name, if it's like a Fox or something. It's a pretty big hot wallet, but it goes over. You can do it with like multiple cryptos, not just Bitcoin. I wanted to be like, right, no, this is just for Bitcoin. At least I don't want to. I'm not messing with any of the other cryptos. I don't care about them. So setting up Sparrow, I mean, like downloading the app, the first part's easy, but going through the steps, I will say, like, I second guessed myself once or twice because, yeah, I mean, it's like me, I want to read 2 or 3 times before doing it. It's like an email, right? Sometimes I'm like, if it's an important email, like I'm reading it 2 or 3 times and sending it once, not making a mistake. So I kind of took that approach with going through the step by step. But then even like you have these addresses, right? It's like, it's relatively intuitive, but the first time I would say it's a little intimidating just because you're doing it for the first time. But you have the internet and you have ChatGPT. So, I mean, that's really just great resources too, to like verify that, like, okay, I'm doing the step by step. It does give you that instruction. And hey, it worked. I didn't do it wrong, right? So it's like maybe I was a little bit nervous and I was adding to it. But at the end of the day, got the Sparrow Wallet, then going over to Bitcoin Well, which I felt like was a little bit easier and more intuitive, like a banking website, or like, yeah, I mean, or student loan website. I mean, something that's very familiar feel to it. I started that reoccurring buy, but again, like with the Bitcoin Well, they make it pretty simple. You add your bank account information. You set your amount. What am I going to put? It's a one-time transaction, but now that they have that reoccurring, so once you get to that point, to simplify it, and again, even I've tossed around like, do I buy? I started at buying like once a month versus once a week, because I think at the time they didn't have that reoccurring. And it's just like, how much work do you want to put into it? Like, do you want to go into it? Like, I guess you could go into it daily if you want to do it, or weekly or monthly. So I started monthly, but now I'm now a weekly buy Bitcoin dad, right? So
Yeah.
I just let that set. It goes to the address, and now we got to start talking about some cold wallets. That's my next move. Is getting to that point where you feel like, tighten up the security. And then obviously, you get to a certain amount on it where you're just, again, we have to relate it back to dollar perspective, or no, once you're a satillionaire, you got millions of sats there. You want to make sure they're safe and you feel good about them, right? So
Yeah.
that's the next phase.
Let's go. All right. And Sat Chats is going to help get you there. So for everybody listening, bitcoinwell.com/satchats, you can sign up for Bitcoin Well, use them as your exchange, get Bitcoin directly into your own wallet. Mm-hmm. And when you sign up through us, you get 1,000 Wishing Well points, which is 2 coin tosses into their Wishing Well, where you could win up to 1 million sats.
Yeah.
So far, I've been winning like 400 sats here, 500 sats there, and I'm like, yeah. And I think I have like 7,000 sats in a Lightning wallet thanks to my Wishing Well points. I'm like, yes, this is going to be like $7,000 one day.
Exactly.
Well, there's so much to Bitcoin, Sam, that we will never fit it into a single chat about sats. So we do ask each of our guests if they would be willing to come back on in 9 months to give us an update on their Bitcoin baby. Would you be willing to do that for us?
Of course. We'd be more than happy to do it.
Let's go. All right.
We can hear about that cold storage.
Yes.
The evolution.
You're like, yeah, I watched your short stack on.
That's what he's going to say next.
Yeah.
I'm
giving an update how many people I've referred over to Sat Chats too, who have started stacking their own too.
Yes. Bring more into the fold. I need every dad on earth to gather around me here on my fantasy Middle Ages mounted knight type Aragorn, son of Arathorn thing.
So many.
So that we can march, through the badlands of fiat clown world to this blessed place where we can all be together and have the time and the energy actually balance against the money that we get in exchange for it. So bring all the dads in, bring all the Bitcoiners in, so that we can grow as a channel and bring more pre-coiners over to Bitcoin. So
absolutely.
Let's recap the conversation with Sam over here today. Absolutely loved this conversation where we opened up focusing on how important it has been for Sam in his journey toward Bitcoin to understand the history of money. Mm-hmm. And one of the best places that you can go to understand the history of money is Saifedean Ammous's book, The Bitcoin Standard, which still sits on top of the hill as far as the best Bitcoin book I've ever read. And we talked about our experiences encountering other forms of money for the very first time. Euros, pounds, crazy bright colors, all different sorts of shapes and sizes. We talked about how Sam feels like the coinage in Europe gets to be too much and how I absolutely love it. But after kind of focusing on the most important lesson for Sam, we kind of zoomed out to this environment that we as millennials have grown up in, where we really only understood the US dollar as money. All of us graduated from university with no real understanding of how finances actually work, and straight into the Great Recession where things are completely upside down because of how finances actually work. Mm-hmm. And having to figure out our own way through this world, work harder than ever to make money that's getting worse and worse, and almost universally arrive at this idea that we will be working for our entire lives, so we might as well take some nice vacations now. We might as well take a time preference and go ahead and shorten it up, focus on immediate gratification, focus on holidays now, buying what we want now, because we're just going to be working until we're dead, Social Security, retirement. There's none of that stuff. It's like, it's not going to happen.
Real bleak.
Yeah, it kind of feels not good, but you turn into a dad. You realize you need to figure this out long term because you don't want to be working your whole life. And, enter the history of money, enter Bitcoin, and it is an incredible tool that we can all use to set aside a little bit of savings each month or each week without really having to think very hard about it. I mean, you're busy, I'm busy, Anna Bevan is busy, our Satillionaires are busy. We're not going to sit down and be like, how can we invest our money in something that's going to return on investment? Should I go join this investor call for this publicly traded? No, not at all. No, not at all. No. So let's just put our spare change into Bitcoin, like number 27 Atom or number 83 Aladdin. We could also dollar cost average if we want. You're doing it each week on Bitcoin Well, and it's going straight to your Sparrow wallet. So let's go.
Great.
And I hope that all the Satillionaires out there in the audience today have learned a little bit more about Bitcoin. And if you don't have any yet, I'm hoping you're like, you know what? I might stack my first sats. So let's take a break here for said CPG that helped bring you into the Sat Chats fold to begin with.
Oh, yeah. I'm gonna be tasting with you. Hang on.
Oh, yeah. That is a yes. Dude.
Love that.
Let's go. All right. So which flavor do you have, Sam?
I've got the French onion, man. I'm addicted to this right now.
Dude, let's go.
It is really good. I'm kind of hot on the French onion right now, too.
I think this is the first time that our virtual guest has the same flavor as the one that we are eating.
Yes.
So watch out, TikTok next block.
There it
There
is.
it is.
Excellent.
Yeah.
So you
with the woven wheat here.
With the woven wheat. Yeah. Now listen to that ASMR.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah. Let me get
Feeling
some
it.
of that bag crinkle in there. Let's go.
All right.
You
All right,
are
fat glob.
familiar. You're familiar with French onion. So we're all gonna just dive on in.
Okay.
Ready?
Cheers. Mmm. Mmm. Mmm.
So good.
You know,
Look
the
at
French,
it.
they do things better, right?
They do.
When it comes to food. When it comes to food, they do things a little bit better. French onion.
Oh man.
Yeah, their food is
batch is
banging.
really good. Man.
Mm.
So thank you for tasting with us. We did not have to act as your taste buds today.
Yeah.
And so you know and love Ithaca hummus just like we do.
Yes. All
So,
right.
At Sat Chats, we believe in value for value. And in exchange for your time, we'd like to offer you the opportunity to choose between $50 of fiat in an acrylic container or
Wow,
the
that does look enticing, but
it does, or 42,200 sats.
43,200.
43,200.
43,200. I got to go with the sats, you know?
Yeah.
Is it
Excellent.
even close? Come on.
It's not close.
No.
And one day,
It's not even close.
you know, your kids, it'll be time to buy them a car and you'll take them down to the Kia dealership and there will be a really sleek Telluride for $43,200.
Yep.
And you'll go, oh yeah, I'll just tap to pay with my Lightning wallet, and the 43,200 sats I got from Sat Chats, it'll buy the whole car.
The whole thing.
Okay? Pocket money today
Exactly.
is rocket money tomorrow.
That's exactly where those sats are going. They're going to be saved for the children. Okay.
Let's go.
For the children.
All right, so you bring our show's scoreboard to 115 who have stacked the sats, along with 9 who have chosen the cash. I hope we never reach 10. I hope we never reach 10 people who choose the cash. Like, I hope we just dunk on this silly government token from now until the end of all time, until Bitcoin is the only money that anybody uses. So, Sam, do you want to send our Satillionaires any old where online to interact with you?
To interact with me personally, not really, but like I mentioned, I do work for a startup, so you can go to bluestripes.com and check out the mission that we're doing with revolutionizing the cacao industry, and it's a beautiful mission with sustainability and some amazing products. So I will plug that, and go get some cacao water. So refresh yourself.
Yeah.
It's still warm outside.
Let's go. Cacao to cacao.
Yeah.
All right. So, Satillionaires, if you enjoyed our chat about sats here with Sam today, if you want to grow Bitcoin adoption worldwide, if you want to orange pill pre-coiners, but you've been trying for years unsuccessfully and you're just, I'm tired, boss, then let us do it for you. The single most powerful move you can make to grow Bitcoin adoption worldwide right now is to smash the subscribe button here on YouTube. We want to reach 10,000 subscribers by Christmas Day, okay? I want to unwrap 10,000 subscribers underneath my Yuletide tree and thank Santa, aka the Yule Father, for what he has delivered to moi. And if we can reach 10,000, when we reach 10,000, we will select one subscriber from among you. And to say thanks for your help, we will drop 2 million sats on your head. Think about how many Kias you're going to be able to get with 2 million sats.
So many. So many Kias.
You can hit satchats.com if you want to grab your slot in the studio today. If you want to be a player on TikTok Next Block, our live game show where you play for 1 million sats. If you want to sponsor the show, you might be Bitcoin Well, you might be Strike, you might be the box of woven wheats that my boy Sam just displayed on camera. The website has all the details there. You can also support our show with your Bitcoin. You can send your Satoshis through us to the next brand new Bitcoiner. And all of that information is in the show notes along with Sam's links to Blue Stripe. So we're here on YouTube every weekday, Monday through Friday at 11 a.m. Fridays is our game show. Tune in tomorrow. And Sat Chats is for educational purposes only and should not be construed as financial advice. Also, our guests' views are their own. Until next time, keep stacking them sats.